Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's turn the cameras on so they can see you. Is there anybody who is not able to scan the QR code? It looks like quite a few showing absence and only few were able to. You guys having any issues?
I'm working on that right now.
My
Okay,
phone doesn't
let's do one
scan
by
QR
one.
codes.
Okay, let's do one by one. Kayla, you want to start?
Just to confirm, is it through the Course Key app that?
That is very correct. Yeah, on your phone, you should have a Course Key app and you should be using your school email address. Okay, Jasmine, go ahead. You have a question?
Oh, no, I'm just working on finding my password for that.
Okay.
My phone doesn't scan QR codes. Is there another way to log in for attendance?
So is it just for today you're having issues or is
Yeah.
it okay?
So I think I need to replace my phone. For a while it doesn't scan QR codes.
No problem. Let me check you in, Kimberly.
Okay.
Okay, so Kimberly, you're checked in. And just okay, let me see. Jasmine, I checked you in as well.
Thank you.
In the course key password, you should have either received an email or how. Kila, how did you get the login information? It should be in the email, correct?
Yeah, it'll be your student email. And then if anything, you could just reset the password and it'll send it straight to your student email account.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Eden, did you get that?
No,
Please.
I'm looking for it right now. Sorry.
Okay.
For the QR code, if you hit check in on the app, it should open an option for you to scan it. So you wouldn't use your actual camera, you'll use the app and then it'll do that also if that's the issue.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll try that for tomorrow.
Dan, I did scan you. I mean, not scan. I checked you in. Okay, so you can
Oh,
figure this out.
you.
Yes, Khaled, you have a question? You're on mute, probably. I can't hear you. I'll check you in if it's about the course key. Okay. All right.
I missed the part. What app are we supposed to use to scan it?
Course key. Ms. Collins, you want me to check you in?
I just did.
Oh, you did. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it looks like it says you're checked in 9 to 1. So.
Okay. Yes, you are in the. Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't an email? I don't see it.
Valentina, yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm having trouble to check in. It says that technology not supported.
Ooh, okay. Yes, that's okay. Today, first day, there are hiccups here and there. I'll check you guys manually in. Just let me know whoever having issues, not able to scan, and then figure this out later today so that you're able to scan it tomorrow. You're checked in, okay? Alexis? Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? You're on mute. You can unmute yourself.
Well, I'm looking. Sorry, I was looking for the unmute button. Good morning. I
Morning.
missed the part for this. It's the checking in part.
Okay, so for today, I just checked you in, but download the course key app on your phone.
Okay.
And using your school email address, you may need to reset the password. Once you do that, so from tomorrow on, you should be able to check yourself in by scanning the QR code. Grace?
Can you also check me in? I'm having troubles resetting my password.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What's your last name, Grace?
Priscilla, B-E-R.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure. Okay. Ishandeep, you have a question?
Yeah, can you check me in as well, please?
Sure.
You can call me
And-
Sean for short.
All right, I got it.
Sorry, please. I was just trying for some reason. I don't know why it's not going through. For Bella Musaelian.
Okay, give me just a moment. Let me check Ishan first, and then I'll come to you guys. I see many of the cameras are off. Please turn your cameras on. As soon as you're in the lecture, your camera should be on. Okay. Tiffany, you have a same issue?
Yes.
Okay, so I checked you in. And Alexis, so what, I'm sorry, what was the concern again? Your hand is still up, so I don't know if it's previous. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Kinsley?
I need to be checked in as well.
Absolutely. All
Thank
right. Okay, you're checked in. Bella, okay, let
Yes.
me check you
Thank you.
in. Okay. And okay. All right, you are in. Okay. Okay, Angie. Issues to check in. You're on mute, but you are checked in now. Okay. Escazita,
Hi,
let
can you
me.
hear me? Sorry, my computer is a little.
You're breaking real bad,
If
but
possible,
I
can you
am checking
check
you
me
in.
in?
Absolutely. You are in now.
Thank you.
Okay. Who else, guys? Who else? Angie, I checked you in. Giovanna?
Can you check me in too?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, you are in. Simon? All right, I'll check you in. Please make sure your name is showing correctly on your screen, first and last name. If not, please add it to your name. Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Who's this?
Samantha Bush.
Samantha, okay. Me check. There you go. All right, Samantha, you're in. Okay, so Eliza?
Yes.
Okay, are you having issues scanning the QR code?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the course key right now.
Okay, so let's, I'll check you in for now, but figure this out, okay?
Mhm.
How about Sanjoy? Padilla, last name is Sanjoy? That's the only student showing absent. Simon, you have a question? I see your hand raised.
I just wanted you to check me in if that's okay.
Yeah, you're in.
Thank you.
The only student missing here is Sanjoy. Okay, so for some reason, there are many cameras showing off to me. Is everybody's camera on? Please check your cameras if it is on or not. You can see yourself because there's some still not showing me on my end. Bella, Alexis, Grace, your cameras are on? I don't know why it's not showing on my end.
I think everybody's cameras are showing, Professor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Everyone's cameras are showing on my end, at least.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed it recently, last couple of weeks here and there, some glitches when it doesn't show on my end for some reason. Okay. All righty. So good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Professor Sra, and we'll be working together for next 8 weeks. Next 8 weeks in this journey of pharmacology. Exciting. Are you guys excited? Like, yeah, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys are so quiet. Come on, wake up. Monday morning, right? Yeah, so welcome to the pharmacology world, okay? Few things I want to say here before we start. Number one, that I am here for you guys. So please remember that and don't hesitate ever. If you need to ask any question, something doesn't make any sense to you, you're not understanding, let me know. Okay? I completely understand that you don't know majority of the stuff we're going to go over. And that is the reason you're sitting here. But I don't want you to go without knowing it. Okay? It's okay to come you don't know, but don't leave without knowing. Now this journey is not going to be easy. Okay? And just saying, I'm not going to give you guys a hard time, okay? But I'm just saying, pharmacology is one of the subjects. It's not only tough, challenging, it's a lot of complex material, okay? There are lots of concepts. And one of the biggest challenges that these concepts start mixing up, okay? So please understand the importance of following the instructions, focusing, and doing what I'm telling you in the lectures. Now, when I say the focus and follow the instruction means I'll tell you what to do, okay? And as long as you do what I tell you, you will pass the course, okay? It's common that students don't realize it sometime in the beginning that, and they try certain methods. And I'm not saying that the method I'm going to tell you is the only way to do well, but I'm going to tell you what I know works for students to pass their courses successfully. I am a pharmacist as well as an RN. Okay, so I'll try to show the angles of all those medication, what you as an RN will need. And to be an RN, you need to get licensed, right? You need to get licensed. For license, you have to take NCLEX. And to become eligible to take NCLEX, you need to pass your program, and pharmacology is one of them. So this is a ladder. We need to step up slowly, one by one, and we're not going to try to jump all at once. You can slip and get hurt. So you may have been doing your studies, your pattern in certain way in your school, but you're in a professional course now. And I'm not saying this, scrap it off, everything, whatever works for you, but be flexible to make changes. Okay, this course will require you to adapt certain things which you may not have used previously. Okay, so it is common when we see a change, we take our time to adopt. But the course is so fast paced, you won't realize that today we are talking about starting our course, and I will remind you that what did I say that day? And before you realize, you will be ready to take your final exam. It's that quick. So you're gonna have lot of material to cover. Now, when it comes to the material, first question is, what are my resources? Because this fast-paced program, you may not have the freedom, the time to go over everything from your book. Books usually are ideal resources, best to study from, but unfortunately, with the amount of time we have and the amount of material we have to cover, it's not possible to completely study from the book. Then what do we use? So everybody has access to Canvas, and You able to see my PowerPoints at top of week 1 module? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So every week, for example, this week you have it there. I posted it last Friday. For next week, I'll post this Friday. So Friday before your next lecture, you will have your PowerPoints. What I want you to do with it is give it a light reading before the lecture. Okay, give it a light reading. Come with the empty boxes to fill with the relevant information. Spending 15-20 minutes just to read the headlines, what are highlighted, important things, will change how much you retain during the lecture. Then ask questions. If you don't understand anything, ask questions. Don't hesitate. You're here to learn. Okay, and I don't expect you to know when you just came here, but I want you to know when you leave. So ask questions. Now, from PowerPoints, during the lecture, have that downloaded version of your PowerPoints on your screen. Just put a split screen, and then do not try to write down everything or take notes of everything. It's not going to work, because as on computers, right, we have one tab open, it works fine. Two, oh, fine. If you open up 10, 15, and at some point, it's going to start lagging, no matter how good processor you have. At one point, it'll start lagging. Similarly, our mind had certain abilities that it can handle so many things at once without start lagging. So when we start putting up too much attention on other things, you may miss your primary goal to learn. You're hearing it, but you're not processing it. You're not understanding it. You're writing it, but you're not understanding it. So for lecture, it's about understanding the concepts. Okay, so just take small, concise notes, or just highlight on downloaded PowerPoints. Okay, I usually highlight things for you guys, but if you find that, hey, I hate Professor Shah's highlights in yellow, I want to do it in a different color, go ahead and do that. Keep your mind engaged. Your brain is very tricky. It's going to try to play so many things every day. Like, hey, you're tired, right? You're working yesterday and now you're sitting in lecture and Professor Shah is torturing, like, with all kind of crappy terminology and all that, right? So it's going to say, you take the back seat, I'll be on the driving seat, and you just let me know whenever you need this information. I'll bring it to you. But trust me, he's not going to be around you when you need it. So give it a task. Tell your brain, I'm the boss, not you. So I'm giving you a task. That's one of the most important thing. You can't miss anything at all. So stay focused. Just take brief notes, highlight things what I tell you, and it's a matter of day or two, your brain will follow you. Don't follow your brain. Okay? That is going to happen pretty soon. Because with the amount of information, complex information, your brain is going to start offering you that deal very soon. Now, as far as your primary source, use the PowerPoints I gave you. Somewhere from 70 to 75% of your exams, the material is included in that. Okay, you'll be tested from there heavily. So if you have a base of 70, 75%, you can do real well on your exams as long as you follow that. Don't try to read everything from the book. Ideally, would, but not here because you don't have that much time. Now, where does material come from? Well, from your books. Okay, I bring it from different resources, including your books, so that you don't have to search for that material and then create your notes and all that, and trying to save you hours and hours of work. So utilize them effectively. Is everybody clear about the resource to use? Any question on that? Perfect. Yep. Please make sure, as I said, follow what I tell you, right? You all are here with a goal to be a BSN, an RN, right? I'm going to pass your NCLEX the very first time. So I'll help you to do that, but I need your help to help you, okay? And the help I need is your full attention, your focus, and follow what I tell you to do. I have no intention, not even a single intention, to give you any work which is extra and not helpful to you. Okay, so when I tell you something, please understand there is a meaning behind it. It's not that just I want to give you a hard time. I won't do that. Now, from your after the lecture, set up a time clock for you. Okay, time clock. Try within 24 hours, but some of you may have work schedules and other things. Not more than 48 hours. Within 48 hours, I want you to spend hour and a half to 2 on each chapter we cover that week. For example, if you cover 6 chapters this week, I want you to spend somewhere from 9 to 12 hours during that week once, okay? Not 10 times. Once on your PowerPoints. Understand the concepts. Don't try to cram it. It's not going to work. And please include one more activity while you are doing that. Have the downloaded version of your study guide. Every week you will have study guide given to you. But just want to clarify that in the beginning itself. That is not actually a complete study guide. That is something base for you, a platform for you to build on to. Create your full-fledged study guide. Okay, so do not just take that as a complete study guide. You will have topics listed there. Now, what I want you to do is, while you're studying your PowerPoints, look at everything listed on your study guide. And whenever you see that on the PowerPoints, just the important part, maybe just 1 line or 2 line, not more than that. I don't want you to bring everything on study guide, but just the important part, copy and paste it wherever it belongs on your study guide. Now, what if it is highlighted, or I told you during the lecture that this is important, but it's not listed on your study guide? Bring that as well. But once again, be very careful. We are not leaving anything important. Okay. Also, we're not bringing too much of clutter along with that. We need to make concise form of your study material, because I want to tell you here what's going to happen. Every week, somewhere from 200, 250, 300, 350, even more than that slides we're going to cover every week. Okay. And you will find it challenging to go through those slides even once. You won't have time to go over that multiple times. Then how do we do well in exam? While you spend a good amount of time, the first time you're going over after the lecture, and you develop your study guide, bringing everything important on it. But as I said, just a line or two, whatever is important, not everything. Now you will have maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 pages at the most. So you cut off 1/10 of what you could have spent if you had to go through your PowerPoints again. Now you can revise that concise form of your study material many, many times. That will stick to your mind. And along with that, learn how to organize information there, how to group things based on what their mechanism of action is, specific, adverse effects. Know those things. And from the very first day, I want you to develop a habit. Have 4 or 5 pages dedicated to create list. Okay, write down drugs affecting kidneys, drugs affecting liver, drugs affecting hearing, drugs affecting vision, those kind of things. And as we move on, keep adding. Whenever I highlight something, this is important, and if it belongs to that category, put that on. Okay, and start developing mnemonics for them, because you won't remember those drugs individually. If they're 10 and they're in one, there are 5, 6 less we have, 50, 60 drugs, they will start mixing up. So we need to develop 5, 6 mnemonics to recall that information rather than trying to memorize all the drugs. I hope that makes sense. Okay, these are the tools which are going to help you to sail through this course easily. If we don't do it, you will find yourself, even though you're hungry, you want to eat something real good and you hate salad, but they will give you an unwanted bowl of mixed salad, okay, which you hate. Everything is going to get mixed. Mechanism of action, adverse effect, they're going to all start looking the same from the next week. Today and tomorrow, we're going to cover basic stuff, but from next week, it's going to be a different story. So please understand the importance of doing things the right way. Okay, that will help you big time. Now, you should be done with your study guide in 2 days. Going through your PowerPoints and creating your study guide at the same time, maximum 2 days. For study guide itself, you're not going to spend more than 15, 20 minutes because it's just copy paste for the whole thing. Now you will have resources to practice, because learning is a process which has multiple factors, and we cannot skip one or another. Okay, we have to complete all the blocks, check them off. Your understanding, okay, then understanding, are you able to recall the information? If you're able to recall the information, are you able to apply in the questions? The multiple steps to complete the learning phase. So make sure we are doing all these things, not just pick and choose that, yeah, I'm good and understand the concept. Concepts are real clear. I'll answer the question. It doesn't happen. We need to self-evaluate that where are the loopholes, where I need more focus on, and making readjustments. You have Evolve and ATI, where you can create your quizzes and practice, assess yourself how well you're doing. Also, develop a habit of doing about 20 calculations a day. I'll share an online resource as well, and you can go and do those calculations there. I will show you not only the correct answer, if you did it incorrectly, we'll show you how to do it correctly in the stepwise approach. You will come across only few formulas in the whole calculation section and just memorize them. As far as memorizing the conversion table, I want you to print that out. Cover the right side first with a blank piece of paper and try to convert from left to right, okay? Once you are comfortable, now cover the left side and then do it in reverse order. I want you to know from both ends, because we don't know how they're going to ask you. Are they going to ask you milligram to microgram or microgram to milligram, kilogram to milligram, milligram to kilogram? We don't know. We need to know both ways. You practice this way 4 to 5 times, majority of that table will be here for you. Okay, any questions so far?
When is our drug dosage calculation test?
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
When is our drug dosage calculation test?
In all your exams, you will have calculations included every week. It's not separate. It is in your weekly exams, your proctor's exams. Okay?
Oh, I think The test we were talking about was like the one that we had to take before each course, that math test.
I don't think the med thing is it's not in the pharmacology course.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So now, one thing I want you to make sure that you please read every single announcement. Okay, every single announcement, because it is important. I have resources there, guidance for you, and develop a study plan for yourself. Okay, we want to take charge of it from the beginning. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if you see, I have these announcements here starting from the bottom. It tells you about office hours. So office hour, usually I keep it after the lecture. So Monday, Tuesday. So if we have lecture until 1 to 2. But you need to inform me ahead of time, schedule a meeting. It's not that I just sit there and wait. That is on first come, first serve basis and appointment only. Okay. Any questions you have, any concern you have, you need help in anything, feel free to reach out and I can schedule a meeting with you guys. Then also it's important to look at your course due date. When is everything due? Okay. You can click on your assignments, or you can go to modules, okay, and quizzes. You can see individually, it will show you that what is due for that week. For example, for this week, everything is due by Sunday. You may have, I think, the acknowledgement part in the beginning start here thing probably due today, because you won't be able to access anything further until you complete the top part. So please make sure that you complete the top part in order to access your modules. Okay. Now, if you see here, it says an announcement, exam tips and sample study plan. I want you to make sure you read it properly, okay? Now it has your resources and everything, and it tells you like before the lecture what you should be doing, during the lecture what you should be doing, all that kind of stuff. Then it also tells you your resources like your ATI and your Evolve. Make sure you utilize those resources. ATI Evolve, there are questions which are on the book at the end of the chapter, but you have additional those ATI and dynamic quizzing and then Evolve adaptive quizzing. Those are different than the questions you have on the book. Okay, much bigger pool, much more questions there. So utilize them to practice at least 4 to 5 times a week. Pick up 25 on each platform every day and practice those questions. That will help you to evaluate how well you're able to retain the material, recall it, apply it, because every topic has multiple angles. You may know from one angle, but maybe missing the other side, and who knows what angle they're touching when they're asking a question. So we need to explore all those angles. It's like you're looking on a mountain. Just when you're facing it, even though there's the other side, but you can't explore it until you go around and see from the other side. So same here, every topic has multiple angles. Until we explore it, probably missing many of those angles. So we need to utilize as many as questions and multiple resources, not only one type. Then here's your sample study plan. Now, this is just an example. I want you to copy paste, make a Word document and create your own study plan where you should include what you should be doing for that particular day, from Monday, Tuesday, whatever you're doing. For example, you know that if your test is on, your exam is on, just say like on Wednesday, so Monday, Tuesday, you should be focusing on just light reading on your PowerPoints, but more heavy on your developed study guide and doing more and more questions, okay, rather than focusing on your homework. Okay, split that, spread it out on other days. We want to select those activities based on when are they needed the most. Okay, and get done with your first reading of PowerPoints as well as your creating your study guide as soon as possible after the lecture. First, safeguard yourself by creating that unique source for yourself, what you're going to need to do well in the course to pass your exams. So don't wait until the last moment. Now, your ATI assignments, you can take it multiple times. So try to do that early in the week. The first day or two, get that done. You can take multiple times. You are required to achieve 90 or above on those. So please don't submit the module report until it's 90 at least. Then once you have it, you need to download the module report of that particular module, and you will be uploading that on Canvas. Okay. But your quiz, there's a quiz on Canvas you will be taking. That is only one attempt. That is only one attempt. Don't touch it until you're ready. Keep it for end of the week. The reason, before that, you should spend enough time on study guide to gain that understanding and then practice questions. Once you are fully prepared, then you attempt that quiz, which is only one attempt. Don't just take it because you want to get over with it. I have seen students passing with a fraction of their grades, and I have seen students failing with a fraction. So every single fraction matters. Don't just rush on anything. Do things when it's right to do. Okay. So create your study plan and then post it somewhere where you sit and study so that you make sure you're checking it off each activity for that particular day that I'm done with it. Organization in this course is critical because it just takes blink of an eye before things slips out our hand. And it becomes more and more challenging, building stress on your mind. You already have a lot to handle, a lot to manage. This is something extra which you committed to, right? So I understand. That's why I'm saying stay on top of it. Any questions so far? Everybody's okay? All right. Now, as far as, for example, here, these are your modules. I just want to show you real quick. These are your modules. So you have to start where it says start here, complete everything, and then you should be able to see this. And here you will see at the top every week, you will see PowerPoint attached. And then this is your quiz here. And then week 2, you will see, but on Friday, you will see PowerPoints at the top right here. Now, if you want to take a look on your assignments, you can click on Assignments tab. It will show you what's due. Like here, ATI acknowledgement, you have to do that first. So if you haven't done it, please do it. Then here are your assignments. These are ATI assignments, okay? Remember now, you have ATI assignments, you have assignments on Canvas. These are individual. These are different. They are not the same, okay? Don't forget to check all. Now see here, it has the due date. So this is due 22nd, this is 22nd, this is 22nd. So 3 of them right here. Now if you scroll down, here's the quiz. So there's one quiz, the quiz 1, which is also due on the same date, September 22nd. Okay, so every week you will have one quiz, but you may have either 3 or 2. It varies every week. I think a couple of weeks it has only 2, but usually it's 3. Your ATI assignments every week. Okay. Any question from that?
So the ATI assignments are due Sunday as well?
All of them. Yeah, all your assignments are due by Sunday.
And that assignments category lists every assignments for that week? Or we have to go to ATI and go see the assignments there?
No, see, if you, for example, here, right? So there are 3 due this week, correct? If you're going to click it, it's going to take you to ATI.
Oh,
It
okay.
may ask you to log in, and then it will open it up for you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, from week 2, you will have your weekly exams. You don't have an exam this week, but next week you will have exam based on what we can cover this week. Okay. You are required a minimum of 75% to pass the exam. If you don't pass the exam, then you need to do a remediation. And I'll go over next week on remediation that what are the steps. It does not change the grade, but that's a requirement to fulfill. Okay. Now, do announcements. You have your syllabus. If you need to look at it, that what is what are the outcomes, what the books are, and how the grades are, right? So introductory assignment is 1%. Please don't delay it. Any assignment not submitted on time, you will have 3 days from the original due date to submit the assignment, but you will or you'll lose 5% of your grades every single day for 3 days, so up to a 15%, and after that Canvas automatically grades you 0. So do not delay any assignment, because that is going to negatively impact your grades. So you have your quizzes, which are 6%, your ATA assignments 9%. And usually once you complete your ATA assignment in the beginning, the first one, they credit you with that total 9%. If any of the assignment not submitted or not submitted on time, then they start deducting. So you may not see an increase in your grades when you complete, but you may see a deduction when you don't submit it on time. Okay. Then in one of the weeks at the end, I believe it's week 6 or 7, you will have this pharmacology student project presentation where you'll be assigned a drug and you'll be presenting that drug. And that is 3%. And then you also have an ATI critical thinking assessment, which will be administered virtually here on Teams. I'll do that, and that is 1%. And then exams are 60%. Okay, your final exam is 20%. So these are big chunks. Make sure you maximize the grades on each and every single assignment and exams you have. Fight for every single point, because it will be crucial. Okay. Now, if you come across any situation where you need any help, whether it's academically that in certain topic, chapter, or something else, you can also contact BrainFuse Help Now. And that is also a part of remediation, one of the tools which you may need to do if somebody's doing the remediation first time. But I'll explain that at a later point. Any question you may have? Bella? Bella, you have a question?
I'm gonna unmute. I have a question because the study way that you explained to everyone right now, which it says that for pharmacology, for first week, for the exam, to study chapter 1 to 6. And then you mentioned that you're suggesting to focus on PowerPoints more than on a book. So my question is, since there is explanation from 1 to 6, so those chapter, you don't recommend to read chapter 1 to 6 and focus more on PowerPoint, or how do you recommend to study and prepare well for the exam?
Okay. So as I said, books are usually the ideal resource to study from. Ideally, they're the best. But because of the pace of this course, you may not find that you have enough time to go through everything from whatever the chapters you need to cover from the book itself. And, so spend an hour and a half to two on each chapter on your PowerPoints, which will cover about, as I said, somewhere 75% at least what you'll be tested on your exams. That is covered on your PowerPoints. Now, anything which you do not understand, you need more explanation in detail, then refer to your book or watch a video or something, on Simple Nursing, YouTube, or reach out to me and I can go over that topic. Whatever you're struggling with, you're having difficulty, but you cannot read everything from the book. That's what I'm not saying that you shouldn't touch the book. I'm saying you can't read everything from the book because you may find yourself in a situation that, oh my goodness, like it's so much, I just can't cover it. So I want you to focus on what is important for you. Books are not developed just based on your course requirements. They are generalized. They're different courses, they're different programs which utilize the same books.
No, I do understand that. I'm just trying to understand my study, how I used to study. It's like PowerPoint, they will not explain everything, right? It's just a short thing. So the reading book, it's more like explanation, it's more like wider. So I'm trying to understand, since you recommend that, it's not my style of studying without like going chapter by chapter, reading and then the details and understanding. So I'm trying to understand if I go like right away like to PowerPoint, if that will be enough information, that will be enough for me to be able to pass the exam.
Okay. So as I said earlier, 70 to 75% material, what you need to do well on the exam will be covered, including the concepts, what you need to clear that topic in your mind, have clarity in your mind. But I understand everybody's learning style is different, and you may find yourself more comfortable reading a book. Well, I don't know how much time you have because everybody has different scenarios. Some students working full time, some part time, some non-working. So based on how much time you have and how much can you spend, if you have time, go ahead. That's the best way to study. But if time management, if the time is a challenge, then I won't recommend trying to study everything from the book. So then you use PowerPoints, but if something which is not making any sense because you need more information to open this up for you, then you just pick the book and then read that particular topic, not just the whole chapter from the book.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I see another hand up. Kayla, you have a question?
Yes, I was looking at the ATI previously, and I noticed that the assignments that you're assigning are not matching the ones on ATI. For example, like the ATI, the dosage and calculations, there's not one for safe medication, but there is one for, or safe dosage, but there is one for like safe medication administration.
There are. It just sometimes they're listed under a different tab, but they're all there.
Okay, because I couldn't find it, and then like
Yeah. Sometimes they are under a different tab. I just noticed actually a day ago for another cohort, and they were searching at a different place, but it was under a different tab. So if that kind of scenario, anything you can't find out, let me know, and I'll figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Anyone else? Any other question, guys? And just to let you know, you might be, I don't know if you're typing any questions in the chat or anything. When I'm lecturing, I usually don't look at the chat. So if there is any question, please speak up, okay? Feel free to ask anything. Any other question, guys? Any other concern?
Oh, actually, I had one. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
there was two like PowerPoints per. So like for chapter one, you have a separate one for chapter one, and then you have like the pharmacology chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we look at both of them when we're studying.
Yeah, so today we'll be covering 3 chapters, 1, 2, 3. Okay,
Mhm.
tomorrow we'll be covering 4, 5, 6. So
Mhm.
you have the PowerPoints already for all the chapters which we'll cover today
Mhm.
and tomorrow, and that has quite a bit of information. And I would say it's hard to provide a material which covers 100% of any exam, but I would say that majority of the information you need is there, and just focus on that, organize it. That is good enough for you. Is there? I'm sorry, I think there was something you cut off a little bit. Is there any
Oh.
a part of your question I missed?
It was so there's like two PowerPoints, or yeah, there's two types of PowerPoints. So you have one for each chapter, and then there's
No, no,
one
no.
that's like all together.
Okay.
It says
Yeah. So remember, yeah, good question. Thank you for asking that. Don't use which are individual ones. They are from the publisher. They are just very basic one, only few. There's not much information. The one which starts with PS, and you will see at the top with all the chapters for that week together. Okay. Perfect. Anyone else? Any other question, guys?
Wait, sorry, you said to use the one that starts with PS? Or
Correct.
don't?
On the top,
Got it.
you will find the PowerPoints always at the top of that week's module, which you should be using. Okay. Anyone else? Any other question? No? I want you to please know this, okay? And I'm not just saying it to say it. I want you to know this. That never ever hesitate to ask any question to me, okay? For any kind of help you need. Don't ever hesitate. Don't give it a second thought, should I ask or not? Just ask me. If you're not comfortable asking in front of the whole class, send me a message. Canvas. You want to speak with me one-on-one? Let me know. Share your availability. I'll schedule a meeting with you. Okay? But I want you to learn and pass this course successfully.
I have a question. So I'm looking
Yes.
ahead and on Canva in the course. So where's week two's PowerPoint? It's not
So
up
yeah,
there yet?
yeah. As I said, like you will get it Friday before
Okay.
the lecture week. So this Friday you will have it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone else, guys? Okay. I do not want you to struggle in this class. Okay. I don't want you to suffer, struggle alone. I just want you to let me know. I will do within my abilities whatever I can to help you out. Okay. I may not have solution for everything, but I'll do my best, whatever I can within my boundaries, within my abilities to support you. Okay. I wish I had something with, some sort of magic that can make it real easy for everyone. But unfortunately, there's nothing. But in practical scenarios, whatever is possible, I'll do that for you. But I need one sincere commitment from you that you will also put up your more than 100%, not even 100%. I need high level of commitment and sincerity in this course. Okay. It's a teamwork. There's a part which I need to do on my end, and then I need your help to cover my back on whatever the other side, what you have to do. If you're struggling with anything, life never stops for anything. You may have circumstances challenging, overwhelming, or you need help, let me know. But communicate. Communicate. It's not that assignment's late and I never heard from you. You're challenging, you're getting, facing challenges, but you never reach out. Don't do that. I don't want you to walk on that path alone. That's something I can assure you that I'll be there for you. But don't wait and don't hesitate. Okay? You will know as we move forward what I mean by that. I want you to be successful. I want to see smiles on all your faces after you take your final exam. That's all I want. That's, and the day I have a cohort, it was, I think 3 years ago, I taught from Reno, Nevada campus, and I just received a call like 10 days ago. She called like, Professor, I just passed my NCLEX the first time. And, you know, uh, remember you told us that as soon as you pass, call me. And then she called me. So I'm so proud of you. That would be the highest, I would say, like, the happiest moment uh, of my life when I see my students successful. I'm doing this from long enough. I started my pharmacy school in 1994. Okay, so I hope you can see that journey, how short or long that is. So all I know is drugs, drugs, and drugs. Nothing else. I don't know anything else. Okay, so my knowledge is limited just about the drugs, but they are a heavy load to manage. If you asked, hey, Professor, do you know everything? No, nobody knows everything. I learn as well every day. Something new comes up, and sometime I open my eyes. Oh, what is that? It's a fast changing field. Things changes every single day. You open up an app, you open up your email, you see new things every single day. That's what I read in the morning. What's happening? Stay on top of it. Another thing I'm going to mention here, please understand your responsibilities. Okay. RN is not just any job. It's not any other job. It's different. Do you know why it's different? Anybody knows why it's different? We all work and get paid, right? Same there. But what's different?
People's lives are on the line.
You are dealing with human life. They're not just a number. Remember, they're somebody, maybe somebody's most important person, somebody's husband, wife, kid, okay, mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, grandkids. So if you do your things right, they will appreciate it. And you will know it when you become an RN and you do the right thing, you will understand what I mean by that. You will feel fulfilled, rich from inside, how people respect you. But if you don't know what you're doing, that's the worst thing to do. Because in life, there are things which you can go back and fix, and there are some which you can't. And we cannot go back and fix somebody's life if we mess up. Not always. You'll get that second chance. They don't deserve it. Ask yourself if it's you or your family member, your own kid, your mom, dad, what type of nurse do you want around their bedside? Who's guessing or who knows? If calculations say, I'm okay, most of the times I get it right, but sometimes wrong. What if you're calculating a dose which can change somebody's life, not only them, their families? We cannot guess. Every action has a consequence, and these are expensive, costly consequences. So always remember this when you're learning here. As I said, it's not going to be easy, it's challenging. But remember, this is needed to keep those lives safe. I'm going to point out on things which you should know as an RN. You will see a lot of material on the PowerPoints. Okay. I don't want you to memorize everything, but know and understand when I tell you something is important, make sure you know it. Because that's what you will be tested on, and that's what exactly will be important when you're giving those medications to the patient in real life. Okay, I hope you understand the importance of that's a slight thin line there, a thin line about just passing the course and learning during the course. If you learn, you will pass. If you learn, you will pass. But if you did not learn, you may pass, but at the same time, you're going to put your license at risk and you're going to put somebody else's life at risk. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be confident. Who knows what they are doing? It's okay if you don't know. Just say, okay, give me a moment. I'm not sure about it. Let me take a look. Get your pocket study guide. That'll be your best buddy. Keep it in your pocket always. The the recent version. Okay, spend money on that. Keep it in your pocket. Open it up. Nobody will mind if you say, give me a moment, let me double check something, but never ever guess. We are not in that guess business. Okay, I hope you keep this thing in your mind that this is not any other job. You have much more high responsibilities. Remember, who spend most of the time with the patient? Not the doctors. They come on visit and don't even stay there for 2-3 minutes. Gone. And whenever the patient hurting, who they call? Hey nurse, can you help? And if we don't know what we're doing, you think that's ethical? No. So we are going to do the right thing, not the easy thing. The things I'm going to tell you to do, again, they're not going to be easy, but they'll be right to do. And I can assure you that if you do what I tell you, you're not only going to pass this course, you'll be one of the well-informed nurses. You won't be scared of medication. I still find nurses struggling after even 15, 20 years on the floor. They're scared of it. Don't try to memorize everything about every single drug. That's not important. Ask what is important about this drug. Some of the drugs, the mechanism of action is more important. Some of them, their adverse effects are more important. So I will point out during the lectures, and please focus and know those things. Okay, any question before we start our lecture? I just wanted to go over basic things and what I want you to do. And it's not that that's my way of getting things done. It's about based on my experience that how can you make sure that you learn and be successful in the course and pass your NCLEX the very first time and do the right thing on the floor. Okay, you guys ready for the first chapter of the day? Yes, okay. All right, and all right. So please don't try to write everything. Just brief notes, leave your footprints, okay? Leave your footprints. What they mean is that just write down, okay, on this slide I need to come back, or this is the topic, and about this is what I'm going to come and look, because Just told that this is important. Seminario, please. You have a question?
Yes, hello, Professor. Is it okay during lecture that we ask questions, or would you prefer that we ask questions after lecture?
You can ask question anytime.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
As I said, I'm not here to give you stress. I'm not here to make your journey hard. I'm here to make it more informed and easy for you. So I want to have that environment in this classroom and treat it as any other lecture, live lecture at campus or anything, so stay connected. I don't want students talking on the phone and talking to others in there. Please don't do that. That's just disrespectful for everybody here. Everybody is busy here, but focus what this time slot is dedicated for. Learn. But anytime, any question you have, just let me know. Okay? If first time doesn't make sense, ask second time. If second time does, ask third time. You're here to learn. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, guys. Let's rock and roll. First chapter. So today's chapters are not hard. There's very basic ones, but they're important because basics, fundamentals are the building blocks. Okay, so we need to strengthen them. So first is the nursing process. Okay, nursing process and the drug therapy. Can you see my the full screen? Yeah. Okay. So we'll go over the nursing process, which has the 5 phases, and then how it's important when you develop your nursing care plan and the rights of the medication, which are critical to keep your patient safe. And then we'll talk about nurses' professional responsibilities, the ethical standards, scope of practice, and all that. Okay. So first of all, nursing process. Now, nursing process, what is that? The nursing process is a systematic, patient-centered. It's always patient-centered. What are the patient's needs are? So this framework used by nurses to provide effective and individualized care. Now, as 5 key parts, okay, key points, 5. Has everybody or anybody heard about ADPI? Yes, okay, good, great. ADPI, so ADPIE. For A, it's assessment. For D, it's diagnosis. P for planning. I for implementation. And E for evaluation, right? Now, assessment. Make sure as a nurse that your assessment is as thorough as possible. Do not ever rush on your assessment, because if your assessment is not complete or it's incorrect, your diagnosis will be incorrect. So does your planning, intervention, everything, and evaluation. You will find that everything was just a wastage of time or not fully efficient, effective. So don't miss anything in assessment, subjective and objective data, right? What patient tells you, what collect from other resources, and what you see, what you feel, what you observe, and then vital signs and all that, right? Now, based on that, diagnosis is develop always a nursing diagnosis, never a medical diagnosis. The patient is having difficulty breathing. That's your nursing diagnosis. The patient may have asthma, but asthma is not a nursing diagnosis, that's a medical diagnosis. Okay, make sure you understand the difference between a nursing and a medical diagnosis. That's not your scope of practice. We leave that for doctors. Okay, the NANDA approved those diagnoses. Then based on the diagnosis, we develop the plan. Now here, that what can we do to help our patients, right? Then you develop 2 kind of goals. under planning. There are short-term goals and long-term goals. Example, short-term goal. The patient is experiencing pain, right? They say 7 or 8 out of 10. Now, you may set up a short-term goal. The patient will verbalize a decrease in pain level. You say 2 out of 10, right? By end of my shift. That's a short-term goal. The patient came out of surgery. That's something you may expect it. But if you say the patient will verbalize that he doesn't have any pain and he just got out of surgery, that's not practical. Should be practical, achievable, right, and relevant to the patient problem. And the long term, for example, patient has high cholesterol, right? High cholesterol. So long term goal might be that by the next visit, the patient cholesterol level that you wanted to bring it down certain level, right? Certain points, like 20 points, 40 points, 50 points, you can expect that. That's long-term goal. Now, as far as implementation, in order to achieve these goals, short-term and long-term, what are you going to do? That is your implementation. So if you're giving them pain medication, that's what your implementation is. That's what you're actually doing to help the patient to achieve the goals, right? So for long-term goal, like the example we just talked about, that to bring the cholesterol level down, and maybe, you wanted to change their lifestyle, more activity, diet, and also taking statin. So that is your long-term goal, and implementation is that you educate them about the medication, when to take, how to take their, that kind of stuff, adverse effect, quit smoking, and all that. Those are implementation. And evaluation is that whatever you did, now it's time to compare where we started, what the symptoms were at that time, what the problems were, and where they at now. Compare them and then analyze if the goals are met or not. If met, perfect. Question is, are we continuing with the plan or we need to discontinue? If not met, what changes are needed? Only those scenarios can happen. Okay, any question about the nursing process? Everybody's doing okay? All right, so let's move on. Let me see, I may have a short video here. Goodness. Okay.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got Shake Video.
The purpose of this video is to provide a brief overview of the nursing process of it. The nursing process is important because it provides a framework for clinical decision-making, which helps to guide care and promote critical thinking. It is a systematic and goal-oriented framework for problem solving. Critical thinking is used throughout the nursing process to improve client care. The nursing process is cost-efficient and a part of the standard of care. It is required by professional standards. The nursing process also promotes professionalism, enhances the quality of clinical decisions made, promotes collaboration with the client and interdisciplinary team, improves efficiency and timeliness of care, improves communication among nurses and with the public since it helps others understand what nurses do, increases client participation in care, promotes client autonomy and individualized care. While you will learn the steps in a sequence, in reality, the nursing process is dynamic and cyclical in nature. It is important to know the steps and be able to identify the purpose and actions in each step. ADPI is an acronym that is used to help you remember the steps in order: assessment, diagnosis, planning, implementation, and evaluation. The purpose of the assessment phase is to establish a database about the client's response to health concerns or illness and their ability to manage healthcare needs. Basically, you need to gather information about the client. Remember to use your critical thinking to help you identify what information needs to be collected. In the assessment phase, nurses collect subjective and objective data about the patient in a systematic way through observations, interview questions, and physical examinations. Data is collected, organized, validated, and recorded. Subjective data is reported but not objectively measurable. You cannot see it. It includes verbal descriptions of health. Subjective data are often referred to as symptoms and represent things a client tells you that you cannot observe or measure. Most subjective data will be collected during a health history. Objective data, on the other hand, is measurable. Think about things like temperature, blood pressure, and weight. Objective data are often referred to as signs. These signs can be measured, seen, heard, felt, or smelled, and are often collected during a physical exam. For more information about data collection, please see the links to more videos below. Use critical thinking in the assessment phase to correctly interpret data. Are the data clear, precise, and consistent? Begin clustering cues and formulating inferences while you assess the client to guide further data collection. Recognize patterns and trends in the data and compare them with standards. Then come to a conclusion about the client's problem and move into the diagnostic phase of the nursing process. Formulating a clear diagnosis aids communication among team members. Nurses cannot make a medical diagnosis like asthma or myocardial infarction. However, nurses have an internationally standardized language for communicating clinical judgments. This language comes from NANDA International. Examples of NANDA labels include activity intolerance, decreased cardiac output, constipation, fluid volume deficit, and hypothermia, among many others. Nurses may identify an actual, risk, possible, or wellness diagnosis. For more information about how to cluster cues, recognize, and formulate a nursing diagnosis, please see the links provided below. Critical thinking about the client's condition is essential in the formulation of a nursing diagnosis. Concept mapping is one tool to promote critical thinking that aids in visualizing the interconnections between data gathered so that an accurate diagnosis can be formulated. Once nursing diagnoses are identified, priorities are established. In general, problems that have the potential to cause harm to the client or others if they are not addressed receive the highest priority. Then, non-life-threatening issues are addressed, followed by those that may affect future well-being. It is important to note that priorities are always changing, therefore continuous assessment of identified priorities is important. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is one framework that is commonly used to help identify priorities in nursing care. Physiologic needs receive first priority. This level includes life-threatening problems or risk factors that pose a threat to physiologic needs. For example, problems with breathing, circulation, nutrition, hydration, elimination, temperature regulation, and physical comfort. Safety and security needs come next. These problems or risk factors that pose a threat to safety and security include things like environmental hazards or fear. The third priority is love and belonging. These problems or risk factors posing a threat to feeling loved and a part of something come next. They include things like isolation or loss of a loved one. Problems or risk factors posing a threat to self-esteem, such as the inability to perform normal activities, comes next. Finally, problems or risk factors posing a threat to the ability to achieve personal goals are addressed. Once priority diagnoses are identified, goals or outcomes are established. These goals provide direction for the selection of nursing interventions, provide a focus for evaluation, are developed in consultation with the client, and can be short or long term. Goals or outcomes must be client-centered, singular, mutual, and SMART. SMART goals are specific, measurable.
Okay, sorry, I'm just pausing this, because I don't want to play the whole thing.
Attainable.
You should have it available to you in your PowerPoint so you can watch it and, let me know if any of the things doesn't make sense, but I'm going to go over them as well. So when we talk about these 5 steps of the nursing process, first thing important to know is that what are you doing here in the assessment? What are you trying to figure? So here it's a human needs statement where you are collecting the data, the patient data. You're assessing what's going on with the patient. So that is important for you to know. Okay, so please make sure you know it. And it's a human needs statement where you collect the data and assess your patient and trying to identify what the human needs, what your patient needs, because that is the one thing which you need to focus on when you're developing the nursing care plan. It has to be patient-centered based on what patient needs. If the patient is in need, we have to develop a care plan how to help the patient in pain. We cannot develop a care plan where say we wanted, okay, patient is in pain, so we wanted to bring his blood pressure down. Doesn't make sense, right? Has to be relevant to their problem. So it's a human need statement. Now, excuse me. When you do the nursing diagnosis, make sure that it matches, aligns with the patient's symptoms. Okay. And then planning the goals and outcome criteria. Now, goals, as I said, short term, long term, and they should be measurable. If it's about pain, you wanted to reduce the patient's pain level, it should be on a pain scale where you can compare what is the change from where you started and where you at now, before your interventions and after your intervention, right? So a patient previously, they reported a pain 7 out of 10 on the numeric pain scale. And if now you wanted to evaluate, you need to use the same scale. If they're saying 3 out of 10, well, that tells you the pain has improved. But if we just say the patient will report reduced pain, but how do we determine the pain is reduced or what? Different patients have different perception of pain. They have different level of tolerance of pain, and so that's not standardized. Everything what you can measure. If you are talking about bringing blood pressure down, then it has to be some numbers, right? Before the medication was given and what they are now after the medication given. So they should be measurable. Okay. Also, they should be relevant to patient's problem, have to have a timeline set, on it. Remember about the pain. Yes, measurable that we said that patient will report the pain, below 3 or 2, whatever it is, or before end of your shift. If you don't say that by end of shift, well, then you did not set up a timeline. The patient will report a reduction in pain. But then at what point are we going to measure it, compare it with if there's a change or not? We can't leave that window open. It have to have us a time frame. Within what time frame? Goals should be within a time frame. Okay, everybody is clear about that part? Any question? Okay, if no question. Now, let me give you an example, and that's important, guys, okay? Say here, a patient, diagnosed with diabetes, and the doctor want them to check their blood sugar twice a day, right? So now you as a nurse, you're educating the patient to use that blood glucose monitor twice a day at home, right? Now, during that phase, when you're teaching the patient, do you know what is the short-term goal at that time? What is the outcome criteria during that phase when you're interacting with the patient and educating?
That the patient is able to understand the teaching.
Correct. It's not about that the blood glucose will go down or whatever. The first thing there is the patient is able to understand how to use it correctly. And how do we determine that?
That they're able to respond back with the verbal understanding of how to use it.
Okay, so it's I will add something into that they should provide a return demonstration to you. Okay, not to verbalize. You show it to them how to do it, and they need to give you a return demonstration. That is the outcome criteria that what you should be evaluating at that point. That they can check their blood glucose properly. Okay, everybody understood that point? Even though our goal is to bring their blood glucose down, but they won't be, if they're not able to check it properly, they're going to get the false numbers. So we won't even know what is effective, what is not. Now, as far as evaluation part, now, there, when you're educating, you're evaluating that if they can use it correctly and you ask them to give your return demonstration, right? And then in order to evaluate that whatever you did, you identify the problem, diagnose, you developed the plans and all the goals and then implemented it, all that. And an evaluation is the important part at the end where you compare and see whatever you did, was it effective or not? For example, the patient was given diabetes medication, right? And then in order to see the efficacy, then you're looking at what the numbers are. That will tell you if whatever the medication given to the patient is producing a therapeutic effect or not, right? And then based on that, you assess and see if you need to make some adjustment. Was the patient compliant? If the numbers are not what expected, then why? Were they not taking it? They had any adverse effects? What's going on? But during evaluation, we monitor the therapeutic response. Okay, that falls under evaluation, and that is important. So this is once again, the next slide will be the same thing, just the repetition, nothing new. So assessment, we collect the data, human needs statement, right? So subjective, objective. And then we do the diagnosis, which is missing here, sorry. Diagnosis, nursing diagnosis, and then plan. Short-term, long-term goals. Implementation, whatever the plans you have, now how do you make them work? What are you going to do about it? And then the evaluation where you see if whatever you did on the top, if that is effective or not. Okay, so your goal should be objective, measurable, and realistic. We cannot have unrealistic goals. Now, if we talk about them a little bit, so let me give you kind of some example. Now, when you're as a nurse, you're performing assessment. I'll give you an example. As a nurse, you're assessing a patient with who's short who's feeling shortness of breath, right? Now the nurse asking about the onset, the duration, severity of the symptom, right? That's subjective data. And then you're checking the vital signs such as the respiratory rate, oxygen saturation, you're listening to their breath sounds. That is objective data, and that falls under your assessment phase, correct? Now, during the diagnosis, example, the patient have shortness of breath, okay? Now, as a nurse, you're making a diagnosis of impaired gas exchange related to airway obstruction, right? As evidenced by shortness of breath and decreased oxygen saturation. So you develop that this is the problem related to the problem and evidenced by the symptoms you see in the patient. Make sense? So we are developing a clear picture there. And based on that, planning. Now, for the same diagnosis, the impaired gas exchange. Now, you as a nurse, you set the goal. The patient will maintain an oxygen saturation above 92% within 24 hours. It has a time frame. It is practically possible. It's relevant to the patient's problem. Correct? For implementation, same thing, same problem. Now, you as a nurse, he starts administering oxygen, so say like 2 liters per minute via nasal cannula. Okay, you reposition the patient. It can be better. You teach them to use the breathing techniques to improve oxygenation. Now, those were your implementations. As far as evaluation, now you as a nurse, evaluating the patient's oxygen saturation after 24 hours, because that's what you set the goal for, right? If the goal of maintaining saturation above 92% is achieved, your intervention was successful. But if not, you may need to make adjustment. Do you need to increase that oxygen? Is there something else you need to do? That's what exactly should be part of your evaluation. Any question? Everybody clear about the concept of ADPI? Okay to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the rights of medication here. This is also important. I do have a video as well, but I'm not going to play. It's a little lengthy, but you can watch that video. Will help you to understand them better, but I'm going to go over basic things. Okay. Now, first thing important to know about this is that this is critical to follow, no matter how behind you are at your work and you want to catch up on everything. You know, if somebody, the previous nurse didn't do this, didn't do that, or you got a crappy patient. Well, we cannot skip this. Can't skip this. No shortcut about this. Follow this. Make sure each step is documented. Anything you do, make sure you document. Can you document it before you do it? Never. Never, ever. So make sure you document everything, because if you never document, it never happened. Okay. So let's talk about the rights of the medication. First of all, just say like, like right patient. If we, to make sure that this is the patient we are catering to. Always confirm the identity, 2 patient identifiers, right? 2 patient identifiers. That's important. Now, you can use their name, date of birth, and then write drug or write medication. Make sure this drug belongs to your that patient. How? You check the order. You check the order in the system. Is this drug ordered for this patient or not? Double check the label for accuracy. If you receive a prescription 500 milligram of amoxicillin for a patient, before you give it, verify the medication name on the label, right? That matches the prescription what is ordered for the patient. Now, as far as like right dose, all drugs, they come in different dosage. We cannot give any dosage to any patient. It has to be the right dosage for that patient. So make sure whatever the dose is ordered, you match with what you are giving. So before giving, once again, check the order. Check the order. Right time. Now you have a window of 1 hour, 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after. If it's more than 30 minutes before or more than 30 minutes after, you're violating the right time. Okay. Then right route. Now drugs comes in tablets, capsule, enteric coated, sustained release, topical ointment, cream, injectable, IV, all kind of. We cannot tell the patient to open their mouth so they can just kind of push the syringe and squid that, that IV into their mouth, right? Or the other injectable IM in your mouth, even though it's the same drug, but it's not meant for oral administration. Similarly, you can't have like oral and just trying to push it through the skin. It's not meant to. There is a reason behind it. So make sure that the route you are using, it's meant for that particular dosage form, because it is going to alter the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion of the drug. Okay, and then comes your right documentation. Whatever you did, you need to enter it. If you give an injection, you need to write down the dose, the route, the time, the any patient response in your EHR. And then also on top of these, you should also look into the right reason or indication that that's what it's written for. Usually these days, the prescription you will see, if it says metoprolol, right, 1-POQD for high blood pressure or hypertension, that's like indication right next to it, making sure we are all on the same page. Patient also knows in a simple language that, hey, this is what the medication is for. And then right response. Now, if you're giving them blood pressure medication, hypertension, the right response would be the blood pressure coming down, right? So match with that. And right to refuse. Remember, no matter how concerned you are for your patient, you really want to take care of that. The patient has the final say on if they don't want to take it, well, they can refuse. But as a nurse, you should ask the reason and document it. Sometimes it's more about that they have difficulties keeping, with that medication. Maybe it's abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, something they experienced in the past and they don't want to take it. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so I'm not going to play this. This is, you're not going to need it in pharmacology, but I just like to share this. There are a couple of slides. You're probably going to need these and it can be helpful when you start going to your clinics, when you do head to toe assessment. So they're pretty helpful. So how to assess your patient, you start from, when they say head to toe, you start from the top and just keep moving down. But these diagrams are quite kind of, pictures are quite helpful. The next one is even more detailed ones, like what to assess with. You know, like here, the color code is the pressure ulcers where they develop commonly. Then cardiac sounds, these are the cardiac sounds. I don't know if you ever heard about that or not. You know, I used to remember APETM, APETM, in order to know the heart sounds. Does anybody know about them? Kayla? I saw your Hannah.
Sorry, that was an accident.
Okay. So let me tell you real quick. Okay. These are important ones and for clinicals. So you start here from the right side of the patient. Don't just say like, oh, I'm gonna listen to the heart. So let me just start on the left side. No. It's this here, the second coastal space here. That's where you start on first. That is your apical pulse. If you need to hear the apical pulse, that's where you hear, right here on the right hand side. Then you do not lift. You do not lift the stethoscope up. You slide it, okay, from right to left. Going here, apical. Here's P, pulmonic. This is where you can hear the pulmonic wall.
Oh,
Okay.
the aortic pulmonic herbs tricuspid valve
Yeah,
and the mitral. Oh,
correct.
sorry.
Yeah, here's the herbs point. T, tricupid, right? And this is your mitral wall. APETM, that's where you hear them. And then your lung sounds, you can hear them well, more clearly on the back. So I can show you the next slide. So see the lung sounds. Once here you start patient's left on the back. So you slide this way, come down here, zigzag. You don't go straight down and straight down from here. No, you go zigzag like that without lifting the bell, okay? Um, and then these are your pressure points, and these are your pulses. These are your pulses. So I just wanted to share, maybe, you know, kind of helpful. Maybe you can print it out and kind of learn about it before you go to your clinicals. Now, as far as your cranial nerves, once again, this is not something in detail in pharmacology, but I just wanted to share it with you. And I have another slide there, which you can utilize. I'm not sure. It may not be in there, but I can share it later with you on your the PowerPoints I provided. That might be helpful for you to remember them. Good to keep it with you. So these cranial nerves, there are 12 pairs of nerves that emerge directly from the brain and brainstem, each with some sort of specific function related to a sensation, movement, or could be both, right? So for example, number one, your olfactory. Olfactory is about smell. Smell. Okay. For example, if somebody has a head injury, they may not experience, you know, that smell. They experience a loss of smell. So to test this nurse, you kind of introduce different kind of, um, you know, smell or any products which has that smell, fragrance, to see if they can identify them. You know, you bring a coffee, vanilla or something, and to see if they can smell it or not. Then your cranial nerve 2 is your optic vision. Actually, your 2, 3, 4, and 6, they all with the eyes. 2, 3, 4, and 6 are with the eyes. So 2 is your vision. Okay. Um, then your 3 is once again with the eyes, but it's about the motor, oculomotor. You ask them to move the eyes, right? So controls most eye movements, pupil constriction, eyelid elevation, controlled by your cranial nerve 3. Okay. You ask them to look up, down, and kind of, you know, in the center, you can point the finger and ask them to follow your finger. Then 4 is you ask them to look down, and then bring it in. Down and in. Okay, that is your trochlear. And then your trigeminal, which is your cranial nerve 5. This is the sensation to the face and controls muscles of mastication, or simple words called chewing. Okay, so somebody has trigeminal neuralgia, they can severe facial pain along the nerve distribution around this area. So to assess, the nurse can lightly touch the patient's face in different areas to check the sensation and ask the patient to clench their teeth like that, because it assesses their chewing abilities. Okay, then your cranial nerve 6 is abducens, which controls the lateral eye movement. You ask them to look side to side. Okay. Now, your facial cranial nerve 7, it controls the facial expression muscles, and also the taste on the anterior, the outside part of the tongue. That's where your most taste buds are. Then your vestibulocochlear nerve, which is your cranial nerve 8, that's for your hearing. And your middle ear is also responsible for balance. So hearing and balance. 9, cranial nerve 9 is your glossopharyngeal nerve. So this is the sensation of the back of your tongue, the throat, and also controls the muscle for swallowing. Okay, that's where we check the gag reflex with that tongue depressor. And then your vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10, this controls the muscle in the throat and voice box. And your 11, spinal accessory nerve, it controls the sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscle. What you say is here, you put your hand here, just gentle, press it, and ask the patient to shrug their shoulders. Okay? So these are responsible for head movement and shoulder shrugging. Can also tell to do that. Now, last one, hypoglossal, which is your cranial nerve 12. It controls the tongue movement. You can ask them to hang their tongue out, move it left to right, up, down. That's what it controls, hypoglossal nerve. So these are your cranial nerve. And I have this table as well, and I can share later with you guys, and you can print it in order to kind of remember that, okay, for your reference future. Okay, any questions so far? Anything which is not clear or not making sense to you? Everybody's okay? Yes? Okay, let's do a couple of questions and we'll take a break, okay? All right, let's see. And you can type your answer in the chat. Try to apply the basic nursing principles, okay? Stick to the basics. Don't think too complex. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Great, good job, guys. Proud of you guys. Yeah, C is the correct choice, and we all know why. Because add pi, A is the first thing. Correct? They're asking the pain medication, but without knowing how severe the pain is, we don't know the patient needs it or what they need, how much they need. Patient may have multiple pain medications, but which one do they need? We need to assess the patient first. Okay. Okay, this is also basic. Wonderful. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Great job, guys. Yes, D, call the healthcare provider. Now, let me tell you one thing. I'm going to give you a badge today, okay? And keep it safe. Keep it safe. Wear it all the time. You know what that badge is? Super nurse. You are officially given a badge of a super nurse today. And do you know what the super nurse's responsibilities are? What they should be doing in certain circumstances, situation? Let me tell you that. And hold on to them, okay? Super nurses thinks basic and they act as super nurses in all circumstances by playing safe. Okay? Super nurses always play safe. Always remember this. This will help you to answer a lot of questions correctly. Never jump on to do something which you should not be doing. Your job is to keep your patients safe. Okay? So always remember that. Always remember you are doing your job to keep your patients safe. Now, here, we are not clear, right? We're not clear. And in order to change anything, do anything, that's out of your scope of practice. And that's where the super nurse decide, I'm going to ask whoever is responsible. You're not responsible for that. It's not clear. Super nurse is going to play safe by calling the doctor. What if it's the middle of the night? Well, if it's important, wake them up. They decided to stay on call. That's not your headache, right? They could take off. Well, they don't want to work. They shouldn't put themselves on that call list, right? They decided it. They're not happy. Well, that's up to them. You're doing your job. Nobody can question you for that. But everybody can question you if you didn't call and you should have, but you didn't, then they will. We're not worried about and how to keep the physician at ease and let them sleep. No, I don't care. Wake them up if you have to. Make sense? So this is what the super nurses are going to do. They're going to play safe and they're going to ask whoever is responsible for that work. We're not going to guess, not going to assume. Okay? So everybody's wearing the badge? Yes? All right. Keep it on all the time, okay? All right, all right, all right. Here you go. Okay, so I'm looking at mainly two options, what you guys have selected. It's either B and D. So let's go over both, okay, so that we have clarity which one is right. Now, one thing I want to tell you, a quick tip. Usually, all questions have keywords in there. Okay, when you read a question, search for the keyword which can help you to answer the question correctly. Now, the day shift charge nurse is making round. A patient tell the nurse that night shift nurse never gave him his medication due at 2100. What will the nurse do first to determine whether the medication was given? Now, here is the key word. What the nurse will do first. You may have multiple options, but here's the keyword first. While this is common, patient might say that, oh yeah, they didn't give it, but it could be true, may not be, right? Maybe the nurse forgot or didn't document, or the patient may be old and confused or had dementia, correct? So we don't know. We're not going to believe anybody. So what we're going to do, because you're a super nurse, so what we're going to do, we're going to make sure if it was given or not, right? Patient saying no. Remember, we talked earlier, everything you do, at the end, what do? You do. What is that? I'm sorry. Say that. Document. So you document. So the previous nurse, if she has given it, it should be documented. Correct? Now, where do you look technically? Now, there's 50-50. Some of you answered B and some says D, because we are saying there should be document. So review the nurse's documentation. Right? That's what your thought is? Whoever answered D? Correct? If it's documented, then let me look in the documentation, right? But that's not the standard protocol, okay? Documentation is not a standard document which carries or has any specific type of information. Now, this is about the medication. Any medication given, it should be entered in MAR, Medication Administration Record, the record of when the medication was administered. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Make sense? So B is the correct answer. Check the medication administration record, not the documentation. MAR is where you see if it was given or not.
And what time was given, and then there are details, everything.
Right. Everything should be there. And then you talk to the patient, hey, this is what I found, right? And then assess the patient. Is the patient confused or something or what? Okay. Are we all on the same page? Everybody's clear now? Okay. Now, see, the other options might be corrected as well. See, that's a call the night nurse at home. Well, if you don't find anything, patient still insists, you might have to call. But the question is saying, the keyword saying what the nurse should do first. What you can do on your own first. Okay. So just one more question and then we'll take a break. Okay. So majority, except couple, there's a B, but majority you answered D, which is the correct choice. Nurse makes an error when administering medication to a patient. Which action by the nurse requires the supervising nurse to intervene? Means the nurse is doing something but not supposed to do. And the nurse should write the report incident report, but it should not be a part of the medical record. Incident report is internal document for that facility itself. It should be placed at a different place. Every facility have their own place where you put the incident reports in. That should never be a part of patient's medical record. Okay, and whenever you are writing the report, make sure it's based on facts, no stories. Okay, if you found the patient on the floor when you went there, but the patient told you the patient trying to go to the bathroom, they fell, no. If you say the patient said that, but I found the patient on the floor, you didn't see where they were going. What happened? Only the facts, what you observed. Okay, any question? Any questions? Many questions. No? Got 50% sale. BOGO. Buy one, get one free. One question, one comes free. What do you want to use the coupon, guys? Come on. Girls are like, they love coupons. No? Oh my goodness. Do you want to shop? All right. It's hard for me to accept. You don't want to use a coupon. All right. Well, okay. You guys then ready for a break? Okay. So it's 11:02. Usually we take like a 10-minute break for stay. So let's come back at 11:15. Okay. At 11:15. And then we'll continue with chapter number 2. So I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me. Okay, welcome back, guys. Please turn your cameras on and we'll start our chapter number 2 of the day. All right, so let's move on to this chapter, which is your pharmacological principles. We'll talk about different pharmacology principles, some important terms, and some concepts. Then we'll talk about what's their importance when you are developing a nursing care plan or taking care of patients who are on any medication. So these are just basic terms and concepts in pharmacology. First of all, pharmacology. What is pharmacology? Pharmacology is a science where we study the drugs. Now, what are the drugs? So drugs are chemicals which alters the normal physiological process of any living organism. Okay. As far as drugs, in their life, they acquire at least 3 different names. Okay. One is the chemical name, then the generic name, and the trade or the brand name. Okay. So you don't have to worry about the chemical names. Most important, generic name, good to know the brand name as well. But generic is what NCLEX test you on. Okay. Now, what is the difference between them? Your chemical name is technically just related to their chemical structure, the composition, the molecular structure they have. Generic is a non-proprietary, how it differs from the proprietary trade name or brand name. Now, when a new drug is developed, whoever develops it first, it's patented under their name for a certain number of years. Usually it's a process of about 17 years or so. And out of those, majority of it, about 10 years, sometime a little less or more, that is dedicated towards development of the drug. Now, once that drug is developed and marketed on commercial scale for everybody to use, nobody can make that drug as brand or generic for rest of that period, whatever's left. So then whoever developed that drug has the time to recoup the money they invested. But after that period patent ends, now everybody can make it, but under generic name, not the brand name. Let me give you an example. Everybody know about Tylenol? Everybody know about acetaminophen? Tylenol's active ingredient is acetaminophen. Now, Tylenol is the brand name who belongs to registered under whoever developed it first. After the patent expire, anybody could develop it under acetaminophen, but nobody can write it Tylenol. It's the same thing. Okay, same ibuprofen and Motrin. Motrin is the brand name. Ibuprofen is the generic name. Everybody clear about that part? Okay. Now, when we talk about drug, it's important to group them together. We need to classify them based on their mechanism of action, their structure, what they are used for. And then in some, you may find some subclasses in there. We'll talk as we move forward. Now, pharmacological principles. So these are some important principles, some terminologies, what you should be aware about. First of all, let's talk about the pharmaceutics. That was one on the top. Pharmaceutics, what that is, let's break it apart. This is the branch of pharmacy that deals with the process of turning a chemical entity or an old drug into a safe and effective medication. So this is what determines different formulations. Like, you have oral, like, your tablets, capsules, powder, suspensions. You have ointments, you have creams, you have injectable, different dosage forms are made. Those are under this umbrella term of pharmaceutics, right? Drug formulation, designing, preparing drug products, all these different formulations I told. Then delivery systems, like, how to deliver it, which route, then different dosage formulations, then also about their bioavailability, right? How much drug is available to produce therapeutic effect, how stable they are. Drugs such as controlled release, sustained release, those are all under this umbrella term of pharmaceutics. Now, if somebody asks you that there are different dosage forms, which one acts faster, which one acts slow? Now, which form of drug acts most quickly?
IV.
IV. And what is the reason?
Because it's directly to the bloodstream.
It's directly delivered in the bloodstream. It doesn't have to go through a system. What anybody knows what that is and what that process is called? Which all oral has to go through.
You said talk about parental versus enteral.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you talking about parental versus enteral?
Yeah, parental versus oral, like, what makes it different? Other than
It's not being absorbed.
Uh-huh. Okay, good job. So all oral formulation, oral means your mouth, right? So you have to take it. Now it goes there, goes in the body. Now liver is the one which metabolizes the drug, correct? But in IV, the drug doesn't have to go through that route. And it's called first pass effect. So please know that. First pass effect. So somebody asks you why IV drugs act faster, because they don't have to go through first pass effect of liver to convert into active form. The whole active drug is directly delivered in the bloodstream, right? Second, if on the other hand, somebody asks you, why do you have to give a higher dose of oral medication as compared to IV? Same reason, because oral drugs has to go through first pass effect through what? Which organ? Liver. That's why you have to give a higher dose. The reason is that liver breaks down into active and inactive forms and make it soluble, available to be excreted from the body. And when they has to go through first pass effect, a big part of the active ingredient, the medication, goes out without producing its therapeutic effect. That's why you need a bigger dose. Right? You may have realized that IV doses are lower as compared to oral. Alexis, you have a question?
Yeah, you said it was the first phase effect.
First pass.
Oh, first pass effect. Okay.
First pass. Yeah, and it's the liver who's involved in that. Okay, so everybody clear the difference between IV and oral? What is the major factor which determines or that why the dose is high or low on the other? Anybody still doesn't make sense?
Did you say the dosage was higher in the pill form?
Oral.
Okay.
IV is always low because the whole drug is available. But when you take it oral, a lot of drug, it gets broken down and get excreted from the body. So that's why you need more drug to produce similar kind of effect. Okay. Now, let's talk about a little bit more about these drugs, different formulations. Very important part. Anytime if the drug has a specific or a formulation which is not immediate release. Immediate release means you take it broken down, it's available, right? The whole drug. But if it's a formulation which says enteric coated, sustained release, delayed release, it has a specific purpose to either get delivered at a certain place or to release the drug slowly rather than the whole drug becoming available at once, right? Like somebody has a chronic pain. Now they need a better control over the pain all day. So either they will take multiple pills or they utilize these special drug dosage formulation where it has multiple layers, coatings inside. So only certain amount released for certain amount of period, and then the next layer dissolve and release the rest. Make sense? So if those kind of formulations, never ever crush them, never ever chew them. Please make sure you know that. So anytime coated, sustained release, lay release, and all that, never crush, never chew. Now I want to add something into that, which is also very important. If they ask you what happens, why can't I do that? Well, from mild to severe, issues can happen. Now, mild and common issues are related with stomach, the tummy. The tummy gets upset, right? Indigestion, bloating, and that kind of stuff can happen. From there to severe, which could be bleeding, over sedation in case of opioids, right? And bleeding and NSAIDs or like warfarin and all that, these things can happen if you crush or chew those formulations. Okay, so please know that as well. What can happen and why we don't do that. Now, let's talk about these different forms a little bit more. Now, suppose you got all oral, okay? You got a liquid, right? A suspension. You got a powder. You got a tablet and capsule. Which one will be absorbed faster? A liquid, powder, and a tablet and capsule.
Liquid.
Liquid.
Liquid. And why?
It does not have to be dissolved.
Yeah, it's already dissolved, right? It's available to be absorbed. So now let's leave the liquid out. How about if there is a powder, a tablet, and a capsule?
Powder.
Powder, once again, it's broken down. Largest surface area. The tablets, capsule, they have to be broken down and dissolved. Then it can be absorbed. But powder is already crushed. Are we all on the same page? Agree on that? Yes? Okay, you guys are too kind. Everybody agrees, say yes. You can say no. I don't agree with it.
Yes. Can you repeat what
Okay.
you said? That we needed to, the last thing that we needed to know about something about crushing the pills
Oh,
or
yeah. So anytime when it's an ultra dosage form, when it's not immediate release, it has any coating like enteric coated, sustained release, delayed release, anything at the end of the drug, you see something SR, ER, those things, never crush them or never chew them because it has coatings, either one at the top or could be multiple inside to release the drug at a certain place or at a certain rate. So we don't crush them or chew them, which can cause abdominal issues like indigestion, abdominal pain, to even severe bleeding over sedation, that kind of stuff based on the medication. Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, any drug from entering to exiting the body, there's a lot happens in there. And that study, it's called pharmacokinetic. Pharma means drug, kinetic means the movement. So movement of drug in the body is called pharmacokinetic, right? So if somebody asks you, what is this? Well, pharmacokinetic is the study about what happens to a drug from the time it enters the body until it exits from the body. So please know that. That is important to know, okay? Pharmaceutics. Now, what happens there? It's called ADME. ADME. A, absorption, D, distribution, M, metabolism, E, excretion. Now, what is absorption? Now, how the drug enters the bloodstream after administration. That is absorption. To the stomach or intestine or skin, right? For example, oral drugs are absorbed through the digestive tract into the bloodstream. So that's part absorption. Now, distribution, how the drug spreads throughout the body tissues and fluid. That is called distribution, because the drug may concentrate more in certain tissues like fat or muscle as compared to others. So that study is called distribution. Metabolism, how the body chemically alters or changes the drug, which happens in liver, either into active or inactive form. That is metabolism. Somebody asks you which organ is involved in metabolism, that is liver. If somebody asks you what drug is involved in excretion, that is kidneys. So know that, please, okay? That's important. So the liver either converts into more active or into inactive to flush them out from the body. And the final is excretion. So that is kidneys, drug and its metabolites doing what? Eliminating from the body. The kidneys, usually urine, and liver does bile. Okay, everybody understood what this ADME is or pharmacokinetic is? Simple words. This is the study what the body does to the drug, okay? The body does to the drug. So on the other hand, pharmacodynamics means what the drug does to the body. So this mainly includes like your mechanism of actions and stuff, right? How the drug affect the body. Okay? It involves like which receptor it binds to, what enzymes can make a difference, and all that kind of stuff. Then pharmacotherapeutics. Pharma means drugs, therapeutics. So utilization of drugs either to prevent or treat a disease. That is called pharmacotherapeutics. Understood? It's the study how the drug used to either prevent or treat a disease. That is your pharmacotherapeutics. As far as toxicology, toxicology in pharmacology, it's more, adverse effects. We'll be talking about adverse effect, how different drugs can cause those adverse effects or overdoses. A different type of route, as we talked about, route enteral or parental. Enteral refers to your administration of medication directly into the GI. It could be oral, it could be via tubes like your NG tube or jejunal tubes and all that, right? But this is one of the most common, right? But as compared to IV or parental, you need a higher dose because it has to go through. What do they have to go through?
Metabolism.
First pass effect. Which
Liver.
organ involved?
Liver.
Liver. There you go. Okay. So now they're different type of formulation. It could be tablet, capsule, it could be sublingual, buccal, rectal. All these are enteral routes. On the other hand, the parental includes your IV, intramuscular, sub-Q, intradermal, and all those. Okay. Now, once again, if somebody asks you what is the fastest route, IV. The reason it doesn't have to go through first pass metabolism and the liver, right? They bypass the first pass effect. Okay. Now they're topical routes. Topical, the application of medication directly onto the skin or mucous membrane for localized effect. Usually for like skin conditions, very common, right? Creams, ointment, gel, patches, they all under your topical route. So these are some examples. And also remember, lungs, that's also topical. Don't say that that's something that because inhaling going in the lungs, but that's also topical lungs when you use the inhalers and stuff. Now, pharmacokinetic, we just talked about it. Pharmacokinetic, it's the movement of the drug in the body, right? Movement of the drug. Now, we talked about parental drugs. They bypass the first pass effect of liver, and whole drug is available. They are the fastest one. Now, bioavailability is the amount of drug available to produce its therapeutic effect. At the bottom, it says something about a blood protein. Why is that important? It's albumin is the most common blood protein and carries the majority of protein-bound drug molecules. Now, what is the significance, importance of that? Now, you may hear about drugs which are highly protein bound, and on the other hand, drugs which are less protein bound. How does it affect? Now, if the drug is more protein bound, and the protein involved is usually this albumin, okay, in the blood. What it does is, if the drug is more protein bound, it's going to make a strong bond with the drug, okay? Now, if somebody has a strong bond, are they more bonded or they are more free?
More bonded.
They're more bonded and less free, correct? In relation to the drug, when a drug is highly protein bound, they have a strong bond with albumin, means more drug is bound with albumin. Albumin is holding them, leaving less free drug. And what is the importance? You need free drug to produce its therapeutic effect. Make sense? Because highly protein bound, less free, so their therapeutic effect could be less. Okay? Because more drug is bound with albumin. Now there is another angle of it. Because there is a bond, strong bond. Now albumin is going to hold them for longer in the body. Less drug is going to get excreted from the system. Why we should care about that? Well, if the drug stays longer in the body, now the patient takes another dose, which same drug, now more drug will be bound, a little bit goes out. Now the drug is building more and more in the body, which can put your patient at risk of toxicity as well. Does that make sense? Another third aspect, because the drugs are strongly bound, their duration of action is longer. It may not be stronger because less free drug is available, but the drug is still in the body. Drug is still in the body and maybe slowly getting released, so the duration of action is longer. That makes some sense? So there are multiple angles attached to that. Okay, is everybody clear about that? Anyone still a little confusing?
Professor, could you repeat the last one?
Okay. So what I was saying is, I'll repeat three things. Okay, all three things again. Number one, highly protein bound drugs leaves less free drug to produce therapeutic effect. Second, more drug they're binding, and then more doses you take, some will get excreted, but they still start building up and can cause toxicity. Number three is because they're bonded and it takes time for them to break that bond and then get excreted from the body. So the duration of action, whatever the drug is meant for, their action is longer. It may not be strong, but lasts longer. Got it?
Thank you.
Professor?
Professor,
Yes.
can you give an example of why possibly protein-bound drugs would be better in some situations?
Okay, may not be always, but there's some, for example, that you need a drug not in high strength, okay, not in high strength, low dose, but you want the duration of action longer, okay? You want a duration of action longer that patient doesn't have to take it every 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or like that, but they need a low dose. So you can give them, and it's very, I would say that less common that they think from that angle or develop dosage based on that, that this is the intention. It just, that's how naturally the body does to them, or that's their one of the characteristics of that particular drug, that it happens in the body that way. It may not be specifically designed very commonly. There are, but not specifically for that angle they're targeting. But this is what their natural characteristics are, that it happens to them. But as you said, it can be utilized because it has certain characteristics. So if you want low dose but a longer action, and those drugs can be utilized. Okay. Okay. And then also important, all these properties, pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic, there is one factor which can make a huge difference. And please know that. It's a very simple thing. The meal and when. Okay. When they ate, what they ate. And I'll give you an example. For example, somebody just ate. Okay. The drug you are giving, it requires empty stomach for better and consistent absorption of the drug. Now, meal is going to interfere and may reduce the absorption of the drug, and the patient may still experience the symptoms even though they took the whole dose. Now, another example. Do we eat the same meal? Do we eat all the meals same every day?
No.
Do we eat every day the same meal? No, right? Some days it's less, more, some less fat, more protein, less protein, and all these factors can change the amount of drug absorbed in the system. So ask your patient, when did you eat last time? And see if there is any aspect which can alter the drug's response, because it can reduce the absorption. You need to understand that angle as well. Okay. All right, so this we already talked about, guys. I'm just going to say it again. The organ involved in metabolism is liver. The organ involved in excretion is your kidneys. Okay, now there's another thing. Have you ever heard about enzymes in the body? Enzymes, right? You heard about like 3F4, 2D6, and all those CYP enzymes? Maybe not much, a little here and there, right? So those enzymes can also make a huge difference about the drug effect. If somebody has less enzyme, maybe then the drug will keep circulating, and it doesn't get metabolized. Okay, can cause toxicity. On the other hand, if there are too many of the enzymes, they will break down the drug and excrete it quickly. The patient may have reduced therapeutic efficacy of that drug. Okay, and there are different drugs and different enzyme target different drugs. Like for pain, CYP2D6 for your opioids, So it depends if somebody has more or less enzyme, and that can determine like, okay, that even the normal dose for someone, it could be too much or too less. Okay. Excretion, we already talked about, it's the kidneys. Now, something important I want to tell you about. Number one is very basic. Anytime you're giving your patient medication, make sure you assess their kidney functions. Reason, if the kidneys are not fully functional, how they can excrete it, right? Well, what you do, if any drug which have any contraindication in kidney failure or not fully functional kidneys, well, you shouldn't give it. But if it's okay to give, you still need to consider you may need to reduce the dose of that medication so that your kidneys can handle. Okay, so patient with renal failure or kidney disease, they will have problems with excreting the drugs from the body. Now, there's another term, very important, half-life. Anybody know what that is? Half-life?
The amount of time.
Uh-huh.
What it takes for the medication to be removed from the body.
Okay, good job. Yeah. So 50% of the drug to leave the body, to remove from the body, right? Then how do you calculate it? Let me give you an example. That's important, guys. Remember it, okay? Let me give you an example. Suppose you gave a patient 400 milligram of ibuprofen, okay? And its half-life is 5 hours. How much drug left in the body after 5 hours?
200.
200. Good job. Now let me ask you another question. How much drug the patient will have in their body after 10 hours? Means the first 5 hours plus another 5 hours. 2 half-lives.
100.
Yes, that's important to understand, guys. So first half-life, it's the half of the actual dose you started with, which is 400. So 400 half-life divided by 2, that means 200 milligram. Now, another 5 hours, correct? Now, 1/2 of what was left after the first half-life, which was 200, not from the beginning, not from 400. It's from 200 divided by 2, leaving 100 milligram after 2 half-lives. Is that understood? Everybody is clear about that. Please speak up if you still do not have clarity on that. I can go over.
Could you go over it one more time?
Yeah. Let's pick up a different example. Okay. Now, patient is given 600 milligram of ibuprofen, half-life 5 hours. So after 5 hours, how much left in the body?
300.
300. Now, another 5 hours. So total, they say, after 2 half-lives or after 10 hours, how much left?
150.
150. 150 from what was left after the first half-life. You divide that by 2, that gives you what's left after the 2 half-lives. Is that clear to everyone? Okay to move on? Yes, I need your permission, guys. Come on.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you for being so kind. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Okay. And okay. Now, few terms here. Okay. Important. Number 1, therapeutic index. What that means? What is it? Therapeutic means has something to do with drugs. So some index which has to do with drug. Well, what that means? That index has a lower limit and a higher limit. Okay. Two ranges. Okay, 2 ranges, low and high. Low means the minimum amount of drug required to produce the therapeutic effect. Okay, and the top is the maximum amount of drug can be given safely without causing toxicity. So if the dose is below the lower limit, the drug is not going to produce therapeutic effect. And if it over beyond that more than the high limit, that means the patient may experience toxicity because the drug is too much in the system. Make sense? Clear to everyone? So these are two things, low and high. So therapeutic index is it's important in drugs, which falls under category the drugs which has narrow therapeutic index. They can put your patient at risk of severe toxicity real quick with a slight change of the dosage. And as I was telling you to start writing drugs, like, drugs affecting liver, kidney, vision, hearing, also develop a list of drugs which has narrow therapeutic range. Okay, so I'll highlight whenever it comes and keep adding the drugs there. Next, peak level and trough level. A peak is the high, right? Peak is high when the drug has its highest efficacy, and trough is when it's lowest. So when are the drugs at peak level? After the dose is given, right? When you give somebody a dose, after a certain time, that's when they will peak, about 30 to 60 minutes if you're giving somebody an infusion. That's when you should be. If somebody asks you when to pull a peak level sample, so if it's an infusion, about 30 to 60 minutes after the dose is taken. If they ask you what is the time, when is the right time, best time to pull a trough level sample, that is before the next dose. So if the patient is prescribed 1 tablet PO every 12 hours, right? Why are we scheduling it another dose after 12 hours? Because we know that around 12 hours, they may not have enough dose to manage the patient's condition. That's why we're giving it, right? It's low. And trough means low. So we pull the sample when it's low, and that's exactly just before the next dose. Make sense to everyone? So these are real important. Please know these: therapeutic index, peak level, trough level, and toxicity is that when it crosses the higher safe range of the therapeutic index and can cause undesired effect, and that is your toxicity. Okay.
I'm sorry, you said the lower limit is the minimum amount of drug to produce the therapeutic effect. And then what did you say about the top limit?
Peak level. Peak means that is the range, upper range, the highest dose you can give safely. And if you cross it, it's going to cause toxicity. Okay. This we already talked about. Okay. Real quick on these things. There's some terms here, but important, like contraindication. What is contraindication? Means a particular drug should not be given to a patient. Any patient condition is contraindicated. For example, somebody has impaired kidney functions, and they say that this drug is not safe to give if somebody does not have a healthy kidneys or liver, something for that patient. It's not for everybody. Okay, it's not for everybody. Now, acute therapy. Acute therapy means something given now for the condition they are experiencing now. You're having headache now. You took Tylenol now. That is acute therapy. Maintenance is somebody has blood pressure, high blood pressure, and they're taking metoprolol every day. That's maintenance therapy, not for acute. Supplemental or replace. Supplemental means that patient does not have enough of anything and you are supplementing, giving additional support to fill up that gap. Replacement when they don't have it or very low and you're giving it from outside, like when people have hypothyroidism and you're giving them levothyroxine. Palliative therapy, and it's important, okay? So please know that. Palliative therapy focus on providing patients with relief from the symptoms, such as like pain, stress from a serious condition, to improve the quality of life for both the patient and their family. Okay, you're providing them comfort along with the family, and you're still giving them the medications to manage their conditions. Okay, that's what the difference from hospice. Hospice is more about just the comfort, terminal illness. You're not trying to treat the condition, but in palliative, you can do so while providing the comfort measures. Is that clear? What's the difference between both? There's a slight difference in the approach. Excuse me. Supportive therapy, whatever you do in order to maintain the integrity of body function during an illness or trauma, that's your supportive therapy. For example, somebody got hurt in an accident and they're using crutches, walker, right? Supportive therapy. Then prophylactic. Prophylactic is something given to prevent something from happening. Okay, you give it ahead of time to prevent something happening, like anti-malarials, like malaria. Somebody's going third part, somewhere in in a country where high risk of malaria, and you're giving hydroxychloroquine. That's prophylactic, from preventing something to happening. And then empiric therapy is, these are the broad spectrum antibiotic given while you're waiting. For example, your patient came really sick, you pull the culture sample, sent to the lab. Now the lab may take 2-3 days to give you the result that, hey, this is the bad guy, the bacteria responsible, and these are the antibiotics which might be effective. But the patient is really sick, you can't wait. So you use the broad spectrum antibiotic, which covers both gram positive, gram negative, until you get a confirmation which microorganism it is, which bacteria it is, and then you target that either gram positive or gram negative specifically. You transition, excuse me, from broad spectrum to the narrow spectrum, more specific, targeted antibiotic. But the broad spectrum is called empiric therapy. Monitoring is important. When you are taking care of a patient, there are medication, monitor for any changes, good or bad. Check for therapeutic effect, which is expected. And as a super nurse, another duty, guys, okay? Extra burden on your shoulders. What is that? Expect the unexpected, which is your adverse effect. Okay? Nobody wants it, but it can happen. So be prepared for that. Toxic effects. Therapeutic index. Therapeutic index, we just talked about the range between the lowest and the highest safe dose. Okay. Now, a few more terms here, which are important. Number one is tolerance. What is tolerance? Tolerance is completely different than addiction. Don't see it as addiction. Tolerance, for example, somebody's taking a pain medication from last 6 months or a year. now they start complaining that my pain is not controlled after